Welcome to Channel Samson Strength. I'm Samson. How's it going? So my wife and I have been having this discussion about words as weapons. And my thesis is that there's a difference between fighting words and not fighting words. If I call a woman a cunt, and by the way, the word cunt is like a special word. And I don't want it to seem that I use that word loosely, though I guess it does, because it's got kind of a specific meaning. I use the word cunt to refer to a person, usually a woman, who falsely accuses somebody else of a heinous crime. Falsely, right? Here's another caveat. Outside of the context of self-defense, right? Women use words to defend themselves, which means women need to be able to lie, right? That's how they protect themselves. They can't do so physically, right? If I'm in a situation as a man, like I'm supposed to take care of business physically in the physical realm. Women, on the other hand, control the men that control the physical world, right? That's like the defense, right? So men defend themselves with physical violence, women defend themselves with deceit, essentially, right? At the and I'm talking about the terminus of conflict, right? So at the end of the day, two men in a fight are going to come to blows, right? If it keeps escalating, right? Which is why, for example, I walk away. I don't get physical, right? We live in a civilized world, like that's what that means. You walk away, and then, you know, the physical aspects of it are handled through the court system, which is why most of the litigation that happens, especially in family court, is the real abuse. That's what's going on. It's institutionalized, reactive abuse, right? So my ex-wife, for example, just constant antagonization, constant negative, constant, and it's the constant point where she wants that reaction, right? And the thing is, like, you don't even realize it. As a man, I didn't even realize it until I got into a very different situation with Julie, who is positive. She's like the polar opposite. She's the opposite side, flip side to the coin. And then you start to wake up. It's like, well, wait a minute. Why do I feel like crap every time I talk to that person, but not that person, right? And then you start to realize. So, you know, and this translates into everything in life. And as a man, don't put up with it. So yeah, call your woman a cunt, and she should leave. And that's the point, right? Like, you're a woman out there. Well, why would I want to be with a man who called me a cunt? You wouldn't. Why would a man want to be with a woman he feels like she's a cunt and she does cunt-like stuff? Like, you know, and that's where, you know, accusing of rape, but then there's all the other gaslighting, right? Like, oh yeah, you were inappropriate, you were this, you were that. And most of what I found out, not with Julie, right? And here's the thing, with Julie, I'm getting honest feedback. When Julie calls me an asshole, I'm probably being an asshole. That's the point. And if Julie started calling me an asshole when I wasn't being an asshole, that would make her a cunt. And I would call her a cunt and we would get divorced. That's how that would work, right? And Julie would agree with me, right? I don't want to be with a cunt. Julie doesn't want to be with somebody who calls her a cunt. So how about I don't call her a cunt and she doesn't act like a cunt, right? And that's kind of my deal with Julie, right? She's not a bitch. She can act like a total bitch, but that's not who she is, right? Can I be an asshole? Yeah, I can be an asshole. I'm an asshole. Of course I can be an asshole. I hope you can be an asshole. Can you be an asshole? Because if not, you should work on your assholery, right? Because my assholiness is Old Testament, biblical proportions.